During Taehyung and Jungkook's latest live show, fans noticed several moments that clearly reflect the closeness between them. During the live, Jungkook appeared relaxed, with his usual calm and serene demeanor. However, there was one specific moment when Taehyung's presence seemed to generate a special reaction in him. Just as Taehyung approached him, Jungkook's expression changed slightly. His face, which was normal, became a little redder. Although it was a small detail, many fans noticed the change and interpreted it as a clear example of the effect Taehyung has on Jungkook. These small reactions are nothing new to those who have followed both artists closely. Over the years, they have shared countless moments that reflect a sincere and deep closeness. In each interaction, it is clear that their relationship goes beyond a simple friendship. What happens between them seems to be built on a foundation of trust, affection, and love, and this is something that has been evident since the beginning of the group. Another moment that caught my attention during this same livestream was when Taehyung approached Jungkook from behind and gave him a small, friendly touch. Far from making him uncomfortable, Jungkook simply laughed, demonstrating the great comfort and trust between them. It wasn't a practical joke or something out of place. It was a gesture between people who know each other well and share a strong relationship, and that was precisely what made it special. Furthermore, as Jungkook tried to speak, Taehyung held the microphone for him so he could do so more easily. It was a simple yet meaningful gesture, as it reflected an attitude of care and attention. Even when another member jokingly approached to offer him another microphone, Taehyung decisively held his own back, as if inviting Jungkook to use the one he was holding. These kinds of gestures speak to a connection that goes beyond the professional. The interesting thing about these kinds of moments is that they don't need words to communicate something. Through their actions, the two constantly demonstrate the closeness they share. Body language, glances, gestures, shared smiles, everything conveys a clear message. The bond between Taehyung and Jungkook is genuine and based on mutual affection. The relationship they've built has been visible to their fans over time, and although what they share is often minimized or overlooked, the truth is that their moments together continue to generate tenderness and admiration. It's not just about what they do in public, but how they do it, with respect, with freedom, and always looking out for each other. Despite rumors or external interpretations, what stands out most is that they've never hidden how comfortable they feel being together. Every time they share space, even in informal settings like this live show, you can tell there's a lasting affection. That special energy they transmit is still present, no matter how much time has passed or how many things have changed around them. On many occasions, some people tend to interpret the moments between the BTS members without observing everything that is really going on. A recent example was when several people started spreading rumors saying that Jimin and Jungkook arrived late to an interview because they had been together, even making up stories without clear evidence. From this, content began to be created that tried to show a relationship between them, without taking into account other important details. What many overlooked was Jungkook's behavior during that interview. Not only was the theory that he and Jimin had arrived together for some special reason easily disproved, but it also became evident who was really close to Jungkook the whole time, Taehyung. From the moment they both arrived at the venue, it was clear that Jungkook preferred to stay by Taehyung's side. It wasn't just a coincidence. With every step Taehyung took, Jungkook seemed to follow him naturally, as if it were something normal between them. Throughout the entire event, Jungkook was by his side, attentive and relaxed. It was clear that his presence gave him confidence. Furthermore, Jungkook's gaze spoke for itself. In several shots of the video, you can see him observing him, not casually, but with a calm, close, and sincere expression. There was also an interesting moment when Namjoon passed by Jungkook, seemingly hinting that he should move or go somewhere else. However, Jungkook chose to stay right where he was, next to Taehyung. This small gesture, although seemingly insignificant, demonstrates how Jungkook prioritizes being close to him, even if not everyone agrees with it. What's curious is that some were quick to say that Jungkook and Jimin's late arrival was because they were sleeping together and fell asleep, but that idea is unfounded. If there really was any special closeness between them that day, it would have been noticeable. In contrast, Jungkook didn't approach Jimin at any point during the interview, not a glance, not a gesture. His entire attention was focused on Taehyung. And there's something that can't go unnoticed. When the interview ended, Taehyung was one of the first to leave the room, and right behind him, almost immediately, was Jungkook. It didn't seem like a coincidence. It was clear he wanted to stay by Taehyung's side, even when they left the space they were in. This kind of constant behavior reveals a real closeness between the two, a relationship that goes beyond what some people want to accept. The way Jungkook acts around Taehyung has been consistent for a long time. He protects him, accompanies him, watches him closely. Although the company and some of the public try to divert attention or even dismiss these kinds of interactions, they find moments to be together again. They don't do it in an exaggerated or forced way, they simply remain themselves. And that's the most valuable thing, that their relationship doesn't need external approval, because it's based on what they feel. It's difficult to know exactly what Jungkook was thinking that day, but what was clear was his desire to be close to Taehyung. It's not about creating meaningless theories, but rather seeing what's right in front of us, their sincere actions, the way they look at each other, their mutual support. All of this reflects a connection that doesn't need complicated explanations. Jungkook and Taehyung share something special, and although some may want to deny or reinterpret it, the truth is that they continue to walk side by side, even when the road isn't easy. There are people who might think that the closeness between Taehyung and Jungkook is just part of a show. Some might believe that everything is planned, that every gesture has a script behind it. However, when you carefully observe the way they relate to each other, how they look at each other, how they touch each other, or how they look for each other without worrying about who is watching, you can see that what they show is not an act. It's something natural. It's part of an authentic relationship that needs no explanation to be understood. The way Taehyung and Jungkook interact with each other reveals a bond that cannot be faked. It's not just that they get along or that they are good friends. The way they approach each other, how comfortable they feel being around each other, says much more. These actions are not forced or repeated because someone asks them to. On the contrary, they happen spontaneously. There are gestures that are repeated over time, a hand on the shoulder, a look that lasts longer than usual, a smile shared without the need to speak. These behaviors don't just happen once, but appear many times and at different times, which indicates that they are real. One of the most notable aspects of their relationship is the repetition of certain gestures between them. It's no coincidence. When someone repeats the same type of behavior with another person, it's because there is a special trust. Taehyung and Jungkook don't need to draw attention to themselves to demonstrate their bond. They don't seek to be the center of attention or show off something they're not. Rather, they behave calmly, staying together when they can, even when circumstances don't always make it easy. Sometimes, there are those who try to minimize what happens between them or divert attention to other things. There are also times when they seem to try to keep them apart in certain situations. But they find each other again, without making a fuss. They seek each other out naturally, like two people who enjoy being around each other, without needing external approval. Their relationship is built on small moments. For example, when one of them is talking, the other listens attentively. When they're in the same space, there's always some form of contact, however slight. And in many videos or presentations, you can see how they care for each other. It's not a superficial kind of care, but one that shows a real interest in how the other feels. That's one of the clearest signs that there's something strong between them. The emotional connection between Taehyung and Jungkook is constant. They're not only physically present, but they're also attentive to each other's needs. When one of them is tired, the other notices. When something bothers them, they lean on each other. These details, however small, build a clear picture of their relationship. On many occasions, you've seen Taehyung adjust his position to be closer to Jungkook, or how Jungkook leans toward Taehyung when they're sitting. It's not something they do with everyone. These behaviors are specific to each other. Even when there are many people around, they always find a way to connect with each other. This closeness isn't always immediately noticeable, but when you observe closely, it's clear and constant. At public events, interviews, or live broadcasts, it's common to see people looking at each other and understanding each other without saying anything. These glances have a meaning that goes beyond friendship. They reflect a level of intimacy that cannot be imitated. Many people communicate with words, but they have developed a form of connection where gestures speak for themselves. This is something that is built over time and with a lot of trust.